All right, happy Monday night. This is part 2 of a little series that I'm doing over the course of the next few weeks, all connected back to your hormones. So if you joined me a couple of days ago, I was talking to you all about sleep, any issues with sleep, how to optimize your sleep, and maybe some of the things that were actually getting in the way of you getting that proper rest. So tonight I wanted to hop on, not for a long period of time, but I just wanted to talk to you about inflammation and the connection that this has to your hormones and some of those inflammatory responses that your body might be producing and that you might be really frustrated with and not have any idea or sense of where they're coming from or be told that they are otherwise normal. And I'm here to tell you that maybe some of those things aren't so normal. They may be common, but they might not be normal. So some of those things that I'm talking about in regards to your hormones, the most common that women come to me with are things like exacerbated PMS. So this isn't just having a little bit of mood swings or some cravings here or there or the odd little bit of breast tenderness or some cramping. This is where you become a different version of yourself. You have mood swings that are all over the place. You oscillate between being anxious and feeling depressed, crying for no reason. Your cravings are out of control. You want salt 1 minute, sugar the next. You never really feel satiated. Heavy menstrual cycles, really bad cramping where you have to take time off of work, really painful breast tenderness where it even hurts to put a bra on or to have any contact or any pressure over the chest. Acne, really bad acne, especially cystic acne and hormonal acne. And I'll talk to you guys tonight about where on the face when you break out, this is indicative of the different organs and systems within your body. Hair loss on the head and hair growth on the face. It's like it falls off your head and grows on your chin. And a lot of women are dealing with issues with that. Fatigue is another one, and weight gain. So these are probably the most common ones that I have come into my practice on a regular basis that I'm helping women work through. And what I wanted to do tonight is to help you paint this picture of understanding that none of these are really separate, that there is actually nothing that happens in your body that is isolated. So even though you might sit here and say, well, the only thing I have, Jen, that you mentioned is I have the PMS. I get a little bit moody before my period comes on and I have the cravings, but everything else I'm fine. Well, even if you have only one more obvious of those signs and symptoms that's coming on in your body and that you're experiencing, it means that there's some underlying level of inflammation that's going on in your body systemically. And that's really the source of so many of our issues that we have going on, not just as women, but as men too, that is at the root cause of our hormonal imbalances is this low-grade chronic inflammation. And what that really means in English terms for you is that the inflammation isn't bad enough yet that you feel like, oh my gosh, I have to do something to change this now. You get used to it and it just becomes part of who you are. And so every month as a woman, you just say, well, this is just normal for me, right? This is common. Everyone gets this. And this is what I was mentioning at the beginning of this Facebook Live, is that there may be things that are common, but it doesn't mean that they are normal. So common is having, mild cramps. It is not normal if you have to cancel work or cancel different experiences or dates going out or things like that in social events because you are doubled over in pain and you're dependent upon Advil and Aleve and Tylenol. That is not okay. It might be common to get a little bit of breakouts around the jawline, maybe on the forehead and around the nose when you're getting your period, but it is not normal to be covered in cystic acne at the time of your period and really only feel like by the time your skin clears up, another cycle is upon you and now it's started all over again. It's common to have some breast tenderness but not be in so much pain and discomfort that God forbid you're in a yoga class and you're told you have to lie on your stomach and you're crying on the inside. It is common, but it is not normal to have such heavy periods that you are changing your tampons and your pads every 1 to 2 hours. It is common, but it is not normal to maybe get a bit of a dull backache, but not to feel like you are doubled over and you can't perform your activities of daily living. It is common to be a little bit tired because you are bloodletting during your menstrual cycle, but it is not normal to feel like somebody has pulled the rug out from underneath you, to have dark circles under your eyes and feel like you can't function until you're at least 3 to 4 days into your period. So do you see what I'm saying here? How there's all of these things that are common, but we deem them to be normal because we hear other women are going through it. It's what we've been kind of told as our rite of passage as menstruating women, and it's absolute BS. Yes, some of those things may happen, but the severity is what you really need to pay attention to. All of those things I just mentioned, the weight gain, the fatigue, the insomnia, the low iron, the low B12, the low vitamin D, the low stomach acid, the digestive issues you have going on, the acne, the hair loss, the facial hair growth, all of those things are signs of a hormonal imbalance that are rooted in inflammation, okay? So what I want to go through tonight is giving you some tips and some suggestions and things that you need to open your eyes a little wider on to help to bring more clarity to what you as an individual are going through. So you can have your conversations with your girlfriends, but don't allow yourself to get lumped into, you know, so-and-so has it going on as well, so I'm sure it's just totally normal and fine. You need to start to track. You need to not only track your cycle, but track your symptoms so you have a better, clearer picture of exactly what's going on in your body. And ladies, the sooner you can do this, the better. And those of you that are watching that are moms, you need to get your girls onto this path of tracking as well too. Not just tracking when they bleed. This is one of the most common errors that I see women make, is they just track the day they start to bleed and the day they end bleeding, but they aren't tracking any time in the other three phases, right? In their follicular phase, in their luteal phase, and in their ovulatory phase, and they're not noting what any of those signs and symptoms are. This is how you can start to map out your total hormonal health picture as a woman, is by really paying attention to those symptoms. So for instance, in my practice, I do full blood analysis, and we take a look at the whole gamut. I will oftentimes have clients do Dutch hormone testing, sometimes salivary testing, depends on what's going on. But the thing that I am the most interested in first, and in fact what will help me better be able to guide them to where they need to actually invest their money in the testing that they're doing, in the supplements that they're choosing, the way they're moving the body, and the food that's going to nourish them, is they need to be able to really clearly, with the utmost clarity, describe to me exactly how they feel throughout their entire month. Because you have to remember, your cycle is not just during your bleed. Your cycle is anywhere from 23 up to 36 days long. And again, this is like an education revolution for a lot of women. They think their cycle is just their period. It is not. That is just one phase of your cycle. So we're breaking the mold of how we educate women on what you have to pay attention to. Now, some of those things we talked about, like weight gain, for instance, if you notice, so there's different types of weight gain that could be connected to the inflammation that's happening around your hormones. If you find that you gain weight specifically right around that time when you are in the luteal phase, so about that week before you're coming into your period and then on your period. I have women who are putting on 5 to 7, sometimes more pounds in that period of time, and they feel like it's, puffy, and they could just like stick a pin and deflate themselves. They feel like they're holding a lot of water retention. They can't fit their rings on. They feel it in their face. They just don't feel fantastic. This can be, number one, connected to what's going on into your gut. So having low stomach acid, which means you're not producing enough hydrochloric acid or enzymes to fully be able to digest and break down your food. When you've got this surge of estrogen and progesterone before they both drop off and you actually have your first day of your bleed, there can be a lot of prostaglandins as well too that are being released. It can cause looser bowels. So things are kind of all over the map naturally in our body. So we want to make sure that we're supporting ourselves in a way where leading into your cycle, you're cutting out the sugars, the things you're going to crave, the salty stuff, the things you're going to crave. You're getting more fiber, more fat, and a good source of protein, and you're really hydrating your body, but you're cutting out the refined junk. You're getting rid of the sugar and the processed carbohydrates. You're decreasing stimulants like caffeine and alcohol and those types of things. The other thing you want to consider is that if this is an ongoing pattern for you, is that your weight goes up, you get your period, your weight drops down. Or maybe you find your weight goes up when you come into your period, and maybe you lose a couple of those pounds, but a pound or two hangs around with you. And this pattern continues to happen month after month, and before you know it, a year has gone by and you're 10 or 12 pounds up. This could be an issue with having excess amounts of the chemical forms of estrogen, these xenoestrogens. So this is referred to as estrogen dominance, right? Higher ratio of estrogen than you have progesterone in your body. The other thing can be that the thyroid might be a little bit sluggish. So typical OHIP standard blood testing is not going to be the way that you are going to learn how healthy or not your thyroid is. TSH, which is the hormone that they will always test on your standard blood work, is not produced by your thyroid. It is produced by your pituitary gland, which then sends a signal to your thyroid. The thyroid hormones we really need to know about are your free T4 and your free T3. We need to know, is your body able to convert those thyroid hormones into the usable form so you can uptake them. to control your internal thermostat, to help to stoke your metabolic system, to help in the processing of other various hormones as well too. So when we talk about things like adrenal fatigue, thyroiditis, which is inflammation of the thyroid, and that can mean a few different things, what we're really seeing is there is a communication breakdown in your HPA axis. This is your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. And what's happening is that the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the adrenals, they're having a really difficult time communicating with one another. There's a break. It's like when you do broken telephone tag. The message starts off clear at the beginning, and then for each person that you whisper into their ear and the message continues to go on, it gets muffled somewhere along the way. And how and why this can happen is that our bodies are junked up, ladies. We are just full of so much garbage in the last, 10, 15, 20 years of living in the environment that we live in, from the cosmetics we're putting on our skin, the deodorant we're swiping on our underpits near our breast and our lymph tissue, the tampons that we are using. There's so many things that are just coming at us even faster than we can recognize, and our body starts to get sluggish. It gets bombarded and it has a really difficult time being able to manage all of these. In the process of this happening and the thyroid becoming a little bit sluggish, the liver becoming congested and exhausted, is your levels of insulin can start to be manipulated as well. And that can be based on taking in more processed chemical foods, and your body ends up becoming insulin resistant, which means it's not actually recognizing, uptaking, and utilizing the insulin that's coming into your body. And insulin's your body's fat storing hormone. So if weight gain is one of your biggest issues that you are trying to focus on correcting for yourself, it is a source of inflammation for you, you've got to work on improving your digestion, making sure your bowels are functioning optimally, because if your back end is bunged up and you're trying to do these detoxes and cleanses and different things from the top down without addressing what's going on in your rear first, you're going to end up bloated and gassy and feeling worse than ever before. And you actually end up releasing those toxins into your system. If your body has a difficult time being able to properly detoxify in both phase 1 and phase 2, meaning that you have a methylation problem, and you wouldn't know this unless you're working with a functional medicine practitioner or a trained certified holistic practitioner that specializes in this, you could be recirculating these toxins into your body, making it very, very difficult to feel any better than where you're at right now. So it's so important that along with improving your digestion, you're optimizing your liver function. Ladies, if you're doing any type of a hormonal protocol without taking a look at what's going on with the liver, you're not truly doing a hormonal protocol. This is where your body is metabolizing all of your hormones, primarily your estrogen. It's where it's neutralizing those toxins as well to help them move through your body, bind to them, and get them out of your system. So the liver needs to have your attention as well. Managing your blood sugar is huge. And managing blood sugar, this is an everyday job. This isn't something where you just have this approach in your head where you say, I'm just going to follow the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time I'm going to eat really good, and then 20% I'm just going to be like, screw it, I'm going to have a party, and I'm going to drink what I want, I'm going to eat what I want, and then I'll pick things back up on Monday. You can only do this so many times until your body is like, it takes longer and longer to recover and to recoup from this. And you know this, A, as you get older, and B, as you get cleaner. You start to eat really healthfully, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to go and have that treat, and you go to have something, and you feel like you just get knocked on your butt from it. This is your body's way of really letting you know, I don't love when you do that. Please stop. I really am having a difficult time managing with that. And this is something we'll always turn to supplements. People are always looking to the supplements first without actually digging beneath the surface and doing the work that actually has to happen, which is changing your lifestyle, okay? You can't short circuit that. You can't there's no secret that those of us in the industry know that you don't, how you get around that. You can't eat the cheeseburger every single day of the week or have 2 glasses of wine every single day of the week and then expect that your body's going to respond by being in optimal condition, right? And that your hormones are going to be balanced. And some people just aren't prepared for that, and that's okay, but then don't get mad at yourself if you're not feeling how you want to feel and you're not seeing the shifts in your health that you're really hoping to see and feel. When it comes to energy, This is a big one if you have heavy periods. So if you have heavy menstrual cycles, even paying attention to the color and the type of blood that is coming out at that time of the month. If you have heavy cycles, you most likely have low iron. If you have low iron, you most likely have low vitamin B12. And oftentimes when we see heavy periods, low iron and low B12, we also see low vitamin D. So those would be things that I would, yes, recommend to supplement with, but you have to get to the root cause of why do you have the deficiency in the first place. When we see low iron and we see low B12, we typically also see low stomach acid. So again, you've got to support your digestion. Maybe you need some enzymes right now while you're determining the foods that are irritating your gut. You need to remove those foods. There's not enough enzymes on the earth in order to be able to protect your body the way that taking those foods that are irritating you the most out will. Start with the most common irritants. Get rid of the gluten, get rid of the dairy, cut down on the stimulants, get sugar out of your system, get rid of the processed carbohydrates. Test for yourself to see how you do with things like eggs and soy and citruses and nuts and legumes. Your body will let you know. Sometimes we just don't want to pay attention because we love a food so much and we're devastated when we know, we hear that voice in the back of our head or we feel the way our body feels and we eat it. We know it's not good for us, but we just get so much joy out of it that we'd rather feel crummy than actually create the change that our body is asking us to do. The other thing with low energy could also be that you are suffering from insomnia. Your sleep is not fantastic. So you're either going to bed too late or you're waking up in the middle of the night between 1 and 4 and you can't get back to sleep. That's usually a telltale sign that your adrenals are a little bit tired. You've been squeezing the life out of them a little bit too much. Stress is probably a little bit too high. You're probably not exercising, or if you are, you're exercising too intensely and too often, and your body is just in this catabolic state, meaning that it's breaking down all the time, which is really stressful and very difficult for your body at night to lower your cortisol levels, to produce enough of your human growth hormone, and to be able to put you into that rest and digest state. Your body also would look at sleep like it's a stressor and be waking you up in the middle of the night. And it thinks it's doing that to protect you. It's all over the map. So we need to reestablish that balance to help to give you your energy back. How many of you look at your teen girls, even your teen boys who aren't menstruating, and you think, my God, they look tired all the time. They're sucked into these devices, which honest to God, I mean, I watch my children after they have spent too much time on electronics and they're not the best version of themselves and their energy is just zoom. Their posture is all flexed and hunched forward. It shuts off proper oxygen into their system. Their nervous system is all jammed up. It produces more inflammation that way. But your girls that are staying up till all hours of the night, that are going after the sugar because they've got these insatiable cravings, that aren't supplementing properly, that aren't necessarily getting the food in, and then they have these menstruating bodies, all of these changes that are going on, and they're struggling. They're struggling and they don't know what to do for themselves. This is why things like the Hormone Project exist, the Mother-Daughter Hormone Workshop, because our girls need to be educated. And if you as mom are already having a difficult enough time in your own body and you can't make sense of what's going on, how are you helping her? So it's so important that you pay attention to any of the information that's coming your way so you can pay it forward, not just to your daughters, but to your sisters, your girlfriends at work. Share this information and spread it forward. The other thing that I look at when somebody has got really low energy is, again, I come back to that HPA axis and look at what's happening in the communication between the hypothalamus, the pituitary, your thyroid, and your adrenals. There can be different bacterial issues going on in the gut. There could be parasites that are going on. We don't understand, and we don't take the time to understand that you are more bacteria, funguses, viruses, parasites, pathogens than you are anything else in your body, And that's not a bad thing. It's not a scary thing, but we need to honor and respect this balance and know that everything we put into our body, it has a ripple effect. It either creates a positive reaction or it creates a negative reaction. And, this is when we talk about things like, oh, well, I've inherited it from my parents. When it comes to hormones, not so much. This is based on the lifestyle you're living. So if you think that you have, shitty PMS and your acne and your boobs are sore and your periods are having that because your mom handed it down to you, you might have a predisposition because all the women that came before you had estrogen dominance. that was, called PCOS and endometriosis and dysmenorrhea, but they were never treated, they were never educated. So now you've been living the same lifestyle and fed the same story. But I'm telling you that there is change that is possible. And I have worked with women where literally, some of you are on this call right now, in one menstrual cycle, we have been able to shift things. In one cycle, getting them off their Aleve and their Advil. In one cycle, changing the color from being dark red and purple and clotting in their cycles to actually being a nice bright red color, which is what we're looking for in those first few days of the period. So, like I said, women, you have this 23 to 36 day cycle, which is a lot of days to change things. Every day your cells are regenerating in your body. My God, every 120 days, pretty much every single cell in your system is regenerating. So this doesn't have to take a lifetime, but you've got to be willing to dive in. You've got to do a deep dive into your own health to be able to heal these things. The next thing I wanted to talk about is acne. So this is a really big one for women, not just young girls. Acne used to be something that you just had as a teen. And then as you got into your 20s and into your 30s and into your 40s, you didn't have it anymore. Not so much. Adult onset acne, hormonal-based acne is huge in my practice. I went through it for years myself too, until I really stopped and paid attention and did, the biggest amount of research I had ever done, and completely healed my skin. And it's a big part of the protocols that I teach in the Hormone Project. I will tell you that it's optimizing digestion. It is supporting and cleansing your liver. It is dramatically changing the things that you are putting on your skin and in your body. It is taking a look at what's happening with the kidneys as well too, and using different holistic, practices. There's face mapping, where depending on where you break out on your skin. So for instance, if you break out all over your forehead, so you might notice this on your teens, okay? All over the forehead, this is digestion. This is a big indication something's going on in the gut. They might have a lot of gas, belching, burping, reflux, sourness, those types of things, constipation, diarrhea, food sensitivities. Maybe they've been told they have IBS, which, just so you know, only stands for interesting bullshit, because it's a catch-all kitchen sink. If you've been told you have IBS, IBD, colitis, diverticulitis, all of those, they all start with a bacterial issue going on in the body, oftentimes H. pylori for some of the IBD, the irritable bowel diseases. Food sensitivities are at the root cause of all of these. So you have to remove the sensitivity. You have to replace with healthier foods. You have to re-inoculate the environment, and then we work on rebuilding. It's a 4-prong approach. You can't skip over these. Okay, I was saying this when I was talking about the sleep one, is people come to me, women come to me, okay? I work with women only. I don't work with men. I work with women and their children. And they will come to me and they're so desperate. I can have women that are literally in tears because they so badly want to feel differently than how they feel now. And I will take them through what the protocol is and what I need them to do for their body, what they need to do for their body. And they'll say, well, I'm willing to do this one, and this one, but the removing of this, and that, no, I'm not going to do that. And then they'll say, well, so is this going to work for me? And my response back is always, well, how is the program going to work for you if you don't work for you? You can't pick and choose like that when it comes to your health and your body, especially if you have so many signs and symptoms. I really can't stress that enough to you. It might be the most important thing that you hear tonight. So this is digestion up here. If you break out in between your brows, okay, this is your liver. So if you notice leading into your menstrual cycle, you get a pimple right there, this is signs that your liver is having a little bit of a difficult time digesting and breaking down, okay? If it's in across the cheeks, this is heart, this is circulation, this is lungs, this is respiratory. So if you get a lot of acne here, there's a lot of congestion that is going on in that area of the body. All across the chin and the mouth, these areas here are related more so specifically to the hormones estrogen, progesterone, DHA, and testosterone. So some acne that we get can be estrogen dominant related. A lot of the acne that people are suffering from is actually androgenic acne. It's coming from the male hormones, which are the androgens. So this would be higher amounts of testosterone, higher amounts of DHEA. We see this often in women who have polycystic ovarian syndrome, women who have fibrocystic breast tissue, or cysts on the ovaries in general, but maybe haven't been diagnosed with PCOS itself. So these are things that you really want to be paying attention to. So stress is going to impact this. Not using organic, clean, clear beautiful based makeups. Using like the oil cleansing method would be wonderful for you. Getting away from a lot of the retail companies that are sold, like your Shoppers Drug Mart, your MAC Cosmetics, your big box ones like that. Buying your cosmetics at Nature's Emporium, Whole Foods, The Big Carrot, Goodness Me, Healthy Planet, where they have beautiful mineral based products that are non-comedogenic. They're not going to clog the skin. They're not adding chemicals and artificial colorings and toxins and chemical forms of hormones onto your body for you to have to deal with. Your skin can breathe. It supports your lymph system. Increased cortisol. So this is where the stress picture comes in. More cortisol that your body is producing. Not only are your adrenals producing cortisol, but they're also dumping testosterone and estrogen, and as well as your ovaries. So when your body's under stress, you're going to be spilling. You're going to be overspilling these into your system. That's going to affect your sebaceous gland secretion of your oils. Any, old dead skin that's in there that's going to get congested and is going to create the cystic deep acne. So there's a difference if you're just getting pimples or you're getting where it's like you can feel it building underneath and it's painful and it's sore and it takes forever to come to the surface, and there's bacteria that are involved in this. So if you have daughters or you yourself, you're poking and you're squeezing and you're touching, going after one and you touch it there, that bacteria can spread onto the skin. So you've got to be very, very careful about this. Again, cleansing the liver. The liver is the most important, along with your gut, when it comes to supporting clearing up acne for good. And then it's the adrenals. So there's a 3-tier protocol that I do where we work on healing the gut. The gut is always the foundation. Then we move into properly supporting, cleansing, and detoxifying via the liver. The kidneys are also work that happens in behind the scene, because the energy of your kidneys from a Chinese medicine perspective, and Ayurvedic as well too, they really govern what's happening reproductively with the ovaries. And then the adrenals are part of this as well. So it's a 3-tiered approach. This is how we flow through the 10 weeks of the hormone project, and doing this systematically so that your body we're not forcing anything to happen. And this is where these changes happen so quickly, is that what we're doing is we're not overriding your system. We're actually creating space on the inside. We're letting all of these areas actually drop their shoulders and take a breath. We're decreasing how much work they have to do on a daily basis. We're decongesting them. So you know how good it feels when you have a sinus infection or you're congested and you blow your nose and you feel like you get that relief and you get the junk out and you're like, oh my God, I can actually breathe again. That is exactly what we are after inside when it comes to your liver for your hormones. We need to be able to eat the right types of foods, change our lifestyle up, take the right type of herbs and tinctures and supplements to actually squeeze the junk out of our body in that respect, so that those organs can take a breath and they don't cause so many signs and symptoms. Does that make sense? Okay, I need a sip of water. You can tell I get really revved up about this stuff and super passionate about it. And here's the reason. No one needs to be suffering. There is no reason that any woman has to have all of these inflammatory issues going on with her period. I am telling you, it is not going to be solved by the birth control pill. That is going to make it so much worse. It is going to shove it so much deeper in your body, and you're going to pay for it on the other side of it. Do you know that more than half the women who are put on the birth control pill now don't even need it for birth control purposes? They are put on it for one of 2 reasons. They have acne, or they have irregular menstrual cycles, or they don't get a period at all. So they get told, we're going to put you on the pill so that you get a regular period. That is not your period. That is a chemically induced period. In fact, when you start to take the birth control pill, from the moment you swallow it, it goes into that HPAO axis. This is now involving the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal ovarian axis, and says, I don't really care what you glands are doing anymore. I don't even care if you don't produce those hormones anymore, because I'm on the scene now and I'm going to take over and I'm going to chemically alter what's going on here. You don't even ovulate when you're on the birth control pill. So you imagine the amount of suppression. I was on the pill for 7 years, from the time I was 15 until I was 22. And I remember so vividly sitting in school, learning about this when I was in school to become a holistic nutritionist. And this is going back now almost 17 years ago, and learning everything about the pill. And even back then, we didn't even know to the degree that we do now what it was contributing to and causing in our bodies. And it was in that moment that one of my colleagues and I, who we were in class together that day, we like made a pact and got off the pill together. And I'm so happy that I did, because I work with women every single day in my practice where we are having to do a post-birth control pill detox on their system. The pill stays in your body for decades. For decades. So if you've ever been on the birth control pill, you owe it to yourself and your body to go in and do the cleanup that requires getting done. It can impact not only the liver moving forward, the bowels, your fertility moving forward, but your thyroid. Thyroid is one of the hugest diseases and illnesses that women are dealing with now. The most common right now is the autoimmune form of Hashimoto's, but also thyroid cancer is on the rise. I have 2 close friends who have had thyroidectomies in the last 6 months. I don't want to see more women going through this. And these things are preventable. They are preventable. We do not have to be suffering in our bodies. You just need to be taught a different way. You have to pay attention. You know, we're, as a society, we're more interested in upgrading and updating the apps on our phone and the technology that we hold in our hand than we are on upgrading and updating the education we have about our human bodies. That is fucked up, okay? Pardon my French, but that is not okay. This is where the paradigm has to change. We've got it somewhere along this way. We started to focus our energy on the wrong things, and now our bodies are suffering. And then we get so sad when we hear about somebody who has a diagnosis, who's not dealing with, you know, things going on in their body. Well, maybe it's us that's going through this, and we feel so lost because we go to our doctor who's not equipped to be dealing with this either, because they're not even up to speed on what's going on. And if there's only a linear way of looking at something and a linear path of treating something, you can't approach hormones and inflammation and healing the female body like this. You have to, like, there's no such thing as a box. You have to be so open and so receptive to learning the individual story. Like, none of you are the same. You all might have a uterus and have ovaries and have breast and, you know, be producing the same hormones and that, but none of you are the same. You need to be educated. You can be educated as a whole, but then there has to be this broken down information so that you get it and can interpret it for yourself, okay? And really take it on that way. The final thing that I wanted to mention about inflammation, and then I'm going to hop off, is this. One of the areas that inflammation comes into our life that we don't necessarily connect to is being out of alignment in regards to our goals and our values. And what I mean by that is that if you don't align your core goals to your core values, you are constantly going to feel like you are chasing after these goals and failing and not succeeding. And this is the example I'll give you in that to understand this. You say you want to have lighter menstrual cycles, that you are done with the weight gain around your period, you can't feel like garbage anymore, you've had it, you're drawing the line in the sand. And so that's over here. These are your goals. I want to feel better in my body, I want to have energy, I want to release the weight that is inflammation, that I know is inflammation. It's not fat, it's inflammation that I'm holding on to. I want to balance my blood sugar, I want to heal my acne, I want to feel better, I want to feel good. But then over here, you know, you're drinking wine while you're saying it, and I'm not saying you can never have it, or you are, you know, stopping through the drive-thru on the way home, or you're saying you don't have time to go grocery shopping for the healthy food that's going to lead you over here, or to make time for the workouts, or to get to bed earlier, to get off the device. But, you know, it's Tuesday tomorrow, and at 9 o'clock, This Is Us is on. And I can guarantee you millions of people around the world, and probably most of you, are going to be watching that show for an hour. And so you're going to watch that show because it's high up on your core value list. It matters to you. It means something. And so I know you think the goal means something right now, but if really you don't feel that you're worth the effort, or you don't feel that, you know, time is on your side, or you don't have the time for it, or you don't have the know-how, you won't actually do the things you need to do to get to the place you think you should be, or that you want to be at, the way you want to feel. So instead of setting yourself up for this like huge goal and then feeling like you have failed and that you haven't succeeded, because if you're aligning yourself with goals that are so out of left field from where you're at right now, you will always feel like you're not achieving them because you're so far away from that point. So start small. You know, like, you are going to have to buy a new box of tampons when your next cycle comes. So can you buy organic instead of Tampax or Always or OB. That's a massive, massive shift in the health of your body. You are going to have to buy a new concealer and makeup powder when you run out of it. Can you change over to a different company? You're going to have to buy new groceries when you eat the ones that you have. Can you make some better choices there? You know, like there's all these small, minute things that you can do that at the end of the day are going to have a massive impact overall. Stop looking at the stuff that's way up here, all the big things, and overcomplicating it and thinking it has to be all the massive stuff. And if you don't accomplish that, then you're just going to feel the way that you feel now forever. It's not true. It's absolute BS. It's the lowest hanging fruit. It is the small, daily, consistent things that you are or are not doing that are actually creating the way that you feel and show up in your life every single day. And this is true for your hormones, for inflammation, for your gut, for stress, for all of it, all of it. So I want to leave you tonight with really assessing, where are you at now? What do you really want to work on? Like, how do you want to feel? If you want to have more energy tomorrow when you wake up, you need to get off this call and get yourself ready and get into bed, okay? If you want to be more hydrated tomorrow, you have to actually take the water with you to work. If you want to have an easier cycle next month, you need to understand for your body how to actually make that happen. You need to eat and nourish and move in a way where you can make that happen, okay? So I hope you all have a fantastic sleep tonight. I hope you've taken away a couple of bits of information from that, the things that you need to really acknowledge and pay attention to in your body. This is part 2 of a series that I'm going to be doing over the next little bit. For those of you that are asking, the Hormone Project starts on Monday. We only have 2 spots left now. And then it'll be coming back again in the fall. So if you want more info, just message me. You can always email me. You can email me at info@jenpike.com. Those of you that are moms that come into this as well too, so that you know your daughters are more than welcome to come into the classes that we do every single week. When you're in this program with me, you get 2 private consults with me. You are more than welcome to talk to me about what your daughters are going through as well. And also when I do the in-home events, you can bring your daughter with you to my house. I do 2 in-home events throughout the trajectory of the course, because this is not just about running a program. This is about educating. And, you know, the ground rules when you come into this course is you can't keep this information to yourself. You have to share this with other women. You have to be able to pay it forward, right? It's one of the most important things about this. So have a fantastic night. Send us an email at info@jenpike.com. I will get the info out to you, probably not tonight, but by first thing tomorrow morning, and you can get yourself on that list, okay? Have a great night, everyone. Take care.